Hello, Dodger fans. After a promising start to the week, the Dodgers lost on Sunday to drop their third straight in Pittsburgh. We'll talk all about that and more this week on Dodgers Wrap 360.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
This song is the Dodgers ship. It's taking on water.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it is.
It's taking on water. It might be a little too early to call it the Titanic just yet.
This was the best song we could come up
You
with.
know, just short notice. Oh, man. Hey, Dodger fans, what's up? Alongside Michael Rippe, I am Mike Conley. Welcome to another edition of AfterBuzz TV's Dodgers Wrap 360. Oh, man, Michael, the week started out on such a high note. I mean, it was like the Dodgers were winning every night with walk-offs, and then they go to Pittsburgh. You think you got a Pirates team ripe for the taking. They've lost 7 out of their last 8. Here we go. We're going to get the train a-rolling. And here we go. We lose 3 straight. We couldn't even have our big stopper, Clayton Kershaw, get it done today.
That's right. The train, it got stopped in its tracks in Pittsburgh.
Sure did.
Been a rough last few days for Dodgers fans and the team as a whole. Because you can't win when you're losing with Kershaw.
That's bad.
It's a bad sign.
You know, because I mean, if you look at their numbers, as a team. When you take out the Kershaw, I think they're after the loss today. I believe they're 14-2 in Kershaw's starts.
That's right.
And he drops to 11-2 after today's loss. But after that, they're like below 500. They're like 7 games below.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like I know it's too early to talk about this, but I'm usually not a guy who likes the Cy Young and the MVP to go to the same guy. But if he keeps this up and they make the playoffs, you're going to have to look at that for Kersh.
It's amazing because every year with Kershaw, you think this is the best you've seen him, and yet he kind of ups his game year in, year out. I mean, this is probably the best we've seen of Clayton Kershaw, and that's kind of incredible to think about.
Very much so.
And it's also showing you this Dodgers team compared to past years, this team is not as good. You know, losing Greinke was huge, and you're seeing that right now. Not having Rue and some of the other pitchers, and we'll get to that. It's really put an onus on winning every Kershaw start, and they've done that until this week, really, for the most part.
Yeah.
But Kershaw's been great, except for tonight, and yet this Dodgers team as a whole, not so much.
Yeah. It turns out that Pittsburgh Pirates started today. Chad Kuhl was a little too cool for the Dodgers, making his major league debut, and Kuhl outdueled Clayton Kershaw.
He cooled off the Dodgers bats.
Oh, yes, he did. And I mean, we've been talking all year about how cool the Dodgers bats have been. I mean, they don't have anybody hitting 300 on the team right now. Corey Seager going to today's game, I think, was hitting 297. So I'm not sure what he did today, but maybe he could have got over that threshold with a 3-for-4 day or something like that. But in fact, let's take a look at what he did.
Yeah.
He did. He was 1 for 3. So
okay, so he might have been.
So he's up to 298.
298. Yeah. I mean, and Corey Seager has really been a blessing for the Dodgers as far as their offense and just their players. He's really carried them from a hitting standpoint, and for a young guy, it's been quite impressive.
It has been impressive. And really, I've been impressed with all the young guys because even though Seager's been, he kind of was a little slow in April. I think he hit 250 for April. But ever since that calendar hit May, the guy is absolutely raking. And Trace Thompson, he had that stretch where he was doing great. He's cooled off a little bit last couple weeks. But
been one of their better offensive players.
Yeah. And like Jock, has had, good stretches.
Yep.
But the guys that have really been kind of, not performing are the veterans.
The guys that have performed in past seasons and really carried the team for spurts and stuff are struggling, specifically, obviously, Puig, but Adrian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
He's hit a rough patch, and they're going to sit him for a couple days, hopefully get his mind right, get the bat right. But you're seeing the young guys come through, and then some of the vets, not so much.
Right. But you have to take solace, and this is why I was so excited at the end of last week, coming into this week, of getting Justin Turner going. And he actually went deep today. So it seems like he's starting to hit. And then you look at Kendrick, he's starting to hit. He's probably hitting like close to 400 over the past 10 games or so. And, so you see these these veterans starting to hit, and you hopefully you can get Agons going. Utley, who was like the only veteran hitting for the first 2 months,
He's cooled off.
He's cooled off.
Yeah.
So you need at least you
gotta have a couple of them. You can't have them
really
all
do.
struggling at the same time because that's trouble.
Yeah. And, it's not like they have to hit 300, but
Right.
we have to hit better than, 230 with runners in scoring position or wherever we're at right now. They just haven't been hitting in the clutch. And that's why it was exciting to kind of, see it seemed like they had turned a corner, but now it seems like they're turning a bad corner here in Pittsburgh.
They did turn a corner, and then they turned right back.
It's funny how those corners work. There's one right after the other.
Well, what about Yasiel Puig? I mean, where are we as Dodgers fans with Yasiel Puig?
Well, I think we got to be encouraged because, he had the hamstring issue and he went down to single A ball and ironed out some stuff. And since he's come back, he's hitting. He's over, he's hitting like 350 or something since he's come back. So that I just pulled out of my.
Do we think
But
that
do
we think he can do this for an extended period and not, be the highlight man for one night and then, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts 3 nights in a row, make the highlight play from right field and knock someone out, at third? But can we get consistency from Yasiel Puig? Because the talent you think is there, and it's just he hasn't been able to put it together.
Yeah. I mean, I think just his ceiling is so high that you have to be patient with this guy. The thing I want to see more consistency is the mental errors he still makes. Like Saturday's game, he's overthrowing a cutoff guy, and that's got to stop. I know you got a hose, but please, you got to hit your cutoff, guys. Yeah, make it a hose, make it that laser beam hose that's 6 feet off the ground, not a pop fly. And it's like it could still be cut off because like guys are taking extra bases and getting into scoring position when they really shouldn't.
Do you think that sometimes? I mean, is Puig in his own head? Is he the type of guy that you think he's in his own head, or do you think he blocks out all that distractions? Because I kind of think when he first came up, he was a guy that could block it all out, and I think he's kind of changed for me to being a player that is really kind of in his head sometimes.
I would say, he's probably in his head, but also I think that's kind of understandable. I mean, it's not like there's ridiculous media in Cuba, that are covering his games.
That's right.
So he goes from like 0 to 85, overnight. So there is, and that's why I think with these Cuban players, you almost even have to give them a bigger leash, And I kind of feel bad for these guys that don't have time to like come up and figure it out in the minors for a while. So like I feel bad for like Puig that he came up and lit the world on fire right off the top, and so all these expectations now are sky high for him, and he's like. Then he has a little bit of a setback. But, I mean, I don't know. It's still a little bit of a puzzle because I thought, Dave Roberts was going to be great for him. And he looked good in the first month of the season or the first two and a half weeks of the season. He was going the other way with outside pitches and you're doing some of that stuff. But then he kind of got away from it. But now with that little tinkering in the minors again, he's getting back into it. And that home run he hit the other day, I think it was maybe Friday night or Saturday night. Friday night, I think. His stroke was just so short, and beautiful. And, like, it's such a change up from that big, old, long swing that we're used to seeing from him. So I was excited to see that.
Yeah, so as a Dodgers fan, you're definitely hoping for Puig to maybe put the team on his back, maybe get hot for an extended period. Maybe that minors trip will really have done him well.
Well, I mean, I just don't want anybody to have to put the team on their back. I mean, this is a team when you look up and down the lineup, you got guys that can hit that aren't.
Well, this is a team where you look at it on paper and you like it. I mean, they got players that have been there, they've done it, and they should be doing it still. And that's where the struggle is because you got guys that have been, stars and been really good role players. And right now, just you would think that they should be able to form a good team, and it's been a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, it's that, and coupled with a good blend of youth, So it looks like on paper it's just the right, nice solution there of youth and age.
And if I was to tell you that the youth part is really carrying its end of the stick, you'd think this team was doing really well, and yet, thank God for the youth because the vets are not really getting it done.
No, because Corey Seager, mind you, is he looks like he's a 10-year vet.
Oh, absolutely.
He's so calm in the box. You know, he never has a bad at bat. You know, he's just amazing, and you just got to thank your lucky stars as Dodger fans that they didn't trade him last year.
Thank God. I mean, he's leading the team in
home runs, right?
Home runs, RBIs, on base percentage, hits, batting average. I mean, he's leading across the board. So that really shows you. I mean, Corey Seager has been the main guy from a hitting standpoint. That's been tremendous.
Yeah,
and the young guys. I mean,
you would say that's a lot to put on a rookie, but he's like mature beyond his years, so maybe he can handle it. But it would be nice to see some of these veterans step up and give him support, and hopefully these 2 games off for Agons is going to be kind of exactly what he needs. You know, moving forward. You know, a mental rest, a mental break, whatever have you.
You would think that the team was hot. They go on the road. They have the Pirates team, as you said, prime for the taking, and they just run into a buzzsaw. To start the road trip, and hopefully they can salvage the last game in the 4-game trip to at least get something out of it before they take on Milwaukee. But you would think that they were about to kind of get in a little roll here and put some distance in the record. And they're in. It's early, but it gets late before you know it.
Yeah.
And
that's why it's a little premature for the Titanic song. I mean, we're not even halfway through the year. So
the other thing about that, though, as a Dodgers fan, and this is a real concern. I mean, San Francisco is way up in the division right now, and there's plenty of time to cut back. But the Giants look good this year, and it's a really difficult predicament to think about the team being in where they need to throw Kershaw in a 1-game wild card, because that affects the rest of the the postseason for the Dodgers. You win that wild card game, you think, with Kershaw on the mound, and yet then you don't have him as much as you will for that first series, and so it's just you're behind the 8 ball right from the start.
Big time. You definitely like to win that division, but it's like less of, because if you go back 4 or 5 weeks, we were talking on this very program about, man, you're gonna have to win the division just to make the playoffs in this league, because it looked like those wild cards were going to be sewn up by the other teams. But now, and this again goes back to the fact that, hey, it's a long season and teams are going to go up and down. Now you look at the Mets having some struggles, and the Nationals having some struggles, and the Pirates, obviously, before this 3-game win streak for them,
they were
hands of the Dodgers, they were struggling.
Yeah.
So it was almost like, and the Cardinals really haven't got out of the gates. They're starting to play a little bit better baseball, and I really think just because the Cardinals, they're going to be in the mix for the wild card.
Absolutely.
At the end. But so looking a month ago, it really didn't look like one of those wild cards was going to be available. But now, as we obviously know, because I think the Dodgers sit right now in the second wild card or the first.
They're actually, after tonight, they're actually out of the wild card now, because Miami, with another victory today with Jose Fernandez on the mound, has jumped them. But it's super tight. I mean, the Mets are a game up. The Marlins are right there, and then the Cardinals are right there, and then you have the Dodgers. So it's jam-packed. And actually, speaking of those other teams that they're competing with, kind of really whoever you look at of those teams, you're looking at a phenomenal wild card matchup. With if you're a Dodgers fan and you have Kershaw on the mound, maybe you're going against Miami with Jose Fernandez. Wow, and what a duel that would be!
And what a storyline with our old manager,
Donnie Baseball, right? I mean,
that'd be crazy. He's doing a good job this year.
I'm sure Dodgers fans, and I know a lot of them, they wanted him out. They were over Donnie, and they thought he landed in Miami. They didn't really have to think about him anymore. They weren't going to hear from him, and yet he's got the Miami team playing really well, and at this point, a game better than the Dodgers.
Yeah, and that's all with Giancarlo Stanton not even hitting his stride yet. Yeah.
Exactly.
And he's actually showing signs about potentially breaking out.
That would be a little gut punch for Dodgers fans if the Marlins were to get that second wild card over the Dodgers and Donnie Baseball.
That would be
a rough
major
one.
Gut punch. Major. Oh, man. So coming into the season, and I think these were the Achilles heels of the Dodgers last year, and at the beginning part of this year too, was lack of depth at the end of the starting rotation, bullpen, and timely hitting, situational hitting.
Yep.
So, but the bullpen has there's been some arms that are kind of showing some stuff,
That's right.
and it's like I'm a little bit, encouraged from that end. Still, the back end of the rotation is kind of hurting. We had the latest guy to fill that fifth starter role was the immortal Nick Tepish on Friday night.
Then following that game waived.
Was he
He was
waived?
designated for assignment,
He's
so
put down. Well, if
unless
he
he
clears
gets
waivers,
if he
they'll go
clears
down.
waivers, he'll go down, or he'll maybe be picked up by another team. Who
He'll
knows?
clear waivers. But I mean, and that's just. But a guy is pitching, and he was acquired like June 6th.
Yeah.
That was when they signed him. So that's what we're kind of dealing with in that fifth starter role, but hopefully reinforcements are on the way.
They are, right? So we've seen in the past week Rue and Brandon McCarthy both sent out to Oklahoma City on assignment. So you got to expect maybe a couple weeks until they're back, both of them, and that should help. That should. I mean, both of those guys are big leaguers with experience that have pitched well for the Dodgers, and they couldn't get back soon enough.
It's true, but I mean, in kind of a situation where we're going to need both of those guys to kind of pan out as opposed to just one of them, because you look at Urias, who's also holding down, a spot in the rotation right now, but he's on a innings limit this year, so they're going to have to get him out of there sooner or later.
Well, it might be a good plan to transition him into a bullpen role. Spot starter, get him, don't get to the innings limit so quickly.
I love that idea, and I've been chirping about that all season. And then they brought him up as a start. I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. Slow down the clock on him.
And then also one of the things I like about that, for the Dodgers moving forward, is you get him into big baseball games later in the season.
Right.
Get that experience. Get him into situations so that, next season and moving forward, he's got a little bit more experience as opposed to just pitching him to his innings limit, shutting him down early in the season. He doesn't get as much experience.
Couldn't agree more. Yep, that's what you must have been watching the program this year because they chirped about that. But I did make it to the Ravine Wednesday night to see the youngin in person, and I was hoping that maybe I'd be there to witness his first major league victory. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but he did look good, and I think he's really looked better each time out. He had a little rockiness in the first couple innings, but then he really settled down for a few innings. And the thing with this kid is, like, his stuff has been good. It's just his inefficiency. He'll have innings where he's throwing 30 pitches in an inning. Yeah. But then, and he had one of those, I think it was the second inning on Wednesday night, but then he came back and had a third inning where it was 16 pitches, and then he had a fourth inning where it was 10 pitches. So you see some type of growth. But I totally agree with you, because then it's this kid who's normally hitting 97 as a starter, it's you bring him in and you tell him, oh, you're going to face 3 batters. Maybe he's touching 99 on the gun with some regularity. So
sort of thing where it's not the exact same thing, but we've seen a lot of star pitchers do this early in their career, and it's helped them. I mean, David Price is a guy that I look to. He was electric that first season, out of the bullpen.
Right.
The difference, in many series in that playoffs when David Price came up. And yeah, maybe it's not even the playoffs we're using him, but I just think that that's a really good growth moment for these type of young pitchers and phenoms.
Yeah, and you don't even have to look that far. Just look here in the National League, where you look at probably the 2 consistent, winning franchises of the Giants, which we're just going to discard them because we're a Dodgers show, and the Cardinals. Yep. And, you got to look at them. And they have guys like Carlos Martinez, came up first in that kind of that setup role and stuff. And, they get guys to mature in those high leverage situations where you aren't taxing their arm with a lot of pitches. And, that's the way to do it. And, to the Dodgers' credit, that could have been their plan for him this year, and they just got in a situation where they needed him. They needed an arm.
They had to change it up at least to use him for the time being.
Yeah, because Stripling, you did that. He looked good for a while, but then Bolsinger, they certainly don't like him, so he's down, and now obviously Tepich. So who knows who's going to be the next fifth starter for
If you had to choose between Rue and Brandon McCarthy, and they're both healthy, would you prefer one or the other?
I think I like Ryu.
Yeah,
a little better, but I think we're going to need both of them. You know, like I say, because if we get our druthers, then let's have Urias get down in the minors. Maybe you convert him down there for a couple months into that setup type role. Yeah. Because for some reason, it's Roberts just keeps wanting to throw Pedro Baez out there, and he really wants him to take hold of that setup role because he gives him opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and he blows most of those opportunities, and it's like, sure, he kind of thought it was going to be Hatcher, at the beginning of the year, maybe you thought that kind of on paper going in, but he's totally, has been an arsonist this year, so he doesn't deserve the friggin' opportunities. So it's like Baez, but it's like maybe give me a Louis Coleman in a spot in the eighth inning. I mean, he's a guy that's like, or a Liberatore. He's been great this year for them.
Liberatore's been good,
and I think in the last month I don't think he's allowed to run, and it's like. But I can understand, your only other lefty in the bullpen is J.P. Howell, and he's kind of been garbage. So it's like you almost have to kind of hold on to Liberatore for situational stuff. But, I mean, if anybody's earned being that eighth inning guy as the guy to get to Conley, I mean, it's probably been Liberatore or even Coleman, But it would be nice if there was a Urias in that mix as well. But I digress. Or, no, we're just done with that topic. I'd like to digress. So the wild card, they're out of it now, but hey, it's too early to look at the standings. Too early to look at the standings. But the one thing which is good is to get Turner hitting again. Like we say, Kendrick's starting to show a little life. Grandal, after hitting that 3-run bomb earlier this week, or maybe it was the end of last week, that was huge. I was like, okay, this guy's going to start going now, but. Because, I mean, we need that guy to hit because he's not in there for his receiving capabilities,
Absolutely.
You had a good observation earlier.
Yeah, and so the couple moments this season where Kershaw has struggled, and it's been very, very far and few between, it's been with Grandal behind the plate. So the question kind of becomes, should Grandal be behind the plate for Kershaw? And Kershaw never says anything, because he's a good dude. I won't throw him under the bus, but you wonder. Because Grandal's not, he's not great behind the plate, framing and stuff.
Yeah, and it's like, why is A.J. Ellis, holding a roster spot?
Right, because A.J. Ellis
Kershaw's caddy.
Yeah, so you wonder, should we just stick with A.J. and Kershaw and not test out maybe getting Grandal in there when Kershaw's pitching?
Yeah.
Maybe Dave can take that hint.
Yeah, I guess, but maybe Skip just saw like Grandal's bat showing some life and wanted to get him in there, but he was 0 for 4 today and it's hitting 183. So can't really get excited at Grandal until he starts hitting his weight, which has got to be about, 235, 240. So let's get going. He has money. But what did Puig do today? Puig was an 0 for 4 too. That's tough. But I think he's something like 7 for 17 or something since coming back this last time.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got to take some solace in that. But also, it's also a lot easier to stay with a guy that is such a defensive asset. And we've seen with his arm that he is in fact that. But he's got to start getting to the fact that he hits his cutoff guys and just make that part of his game now.
What would it take if we get to the trade deadline? What type of offer would it take from a team to get Puig? I mean, where are we with Yasiel as far as his trade value?
I don't think it's very high.
It's not, right? You'd be selling probably. You're obviously not selling at a high. You'd be selling low. But I mean, even now, because clearly there's loads of talent. And I'm sure there's got to be teams out there thinking, maybe we get him out of LA, we get our guys, in charge of him, our hitting instructor and whatnot, maybe a different scene change that could get him right.
Yeah.
So what would it take to say, yes, we'll trade him? And this front office is really statistical and into the collection of prospects and building a team. So I just asked that because I don't think it's out of the realm to think that we could, he's going to be a name at the trade deadline, and whether they move him or not. I'm not trying to speculate, but I think that Puig, you never know. I mean, it's a new front office, and I just wonder what it would take for another team to get him.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that the pitching market is just so limited, and that all the teams out there that are buying are going to mostly be buying pitching, that the hitting market isn't going to be as good. So, and also it's kind of a situation where it's the stock market. You want to sell high and buy low. So he's kind of low right now. So to sell low on him, unless it's a situation we don't know about, if he's a malcontent in the clubhouse and a cancer, then it's like, get rid of this guy, get a double-A pitcher for him, and let's see what we can do, addition through subtraction,
This may be out there, but would you say, who says no to a Yasiel Puig for Andrew Miller swap?
The Yankees.
The Yankees say no to that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Because the Yankees right now are in talks with the Cubs about potentially trading both Chapman and Miller
for a bunch of prospects, or
Yeah,
Schwarber maybe.
They are going to pillage the Cubs.
Well, that's why I just wonder. I mean, that kind of tells you. I think if you asked that same deal a year ago, you're like, Andrew Miller for Puig, you probably say that you want, Puig is definitely the more valuable guy.
Yeah.
And I just wonder,
That's interesting because New York could be a good landing place for a guy like Puig. Puig, like a big,
they're trying to rebuild,
Latin, following. They are trying to rebuild. That could be interesting.
It's just, just thinking, trying to throw out, a name here there, because we'll have to see what happens with Puig. It's just something I'm watching. I don't know he has that long a leash here in LA with the new infrastructure set up in place. Yeah. And he's kind of testing that, I feel like, by not coming out of the gates this season and having such a monster season. It's like he's, maybe he could be had, right or wrong. He might be able to be had this trade deadline. That's just what I wonder.
Yeah, he could. I mean, but like I say, it's like, let's get him going good.
Agreed.
And
absolutely.
then maybe get rid of him.
And then don't trade him. But I just, I'm not saying we should trade him. Yeah. It's just.
But I think maybe having a shorter leash on him is a good thing. And with the emergence a little bit of Thompson, maybe it's a situation where, hey, maybe Thompson plays right versus lefties, some of these days. And we just get Puig in there, until he shows he needs to be that consistent everyday right fielder. Because, if Kendrick's hitting, more so than Puig, then play him in left and Trace Thompson in right versus lefties, So, I mean, not that I don't get scared every time a fly ball goes into left field and Kendrick Correa, my infielder, is out there. It's like, as a Red Sox fan, I'm having flashbacks to hand ram last year and left.
Guys out of position. Just to close the knot on the Puig thing, I mean, looking at his OPS plus, which is one of my favorite stats, it's gone down since his first year, every year. And so that's just, it's a concerning thing.
It is. And I'm sure you could say that about a lot of his stats,
Yeah, I mean, he's just trending in the wrong direction, and you just wonder.
Yeah. And I think that, the book's kind of out on him as a kind of swing at the first pitch guy.
Right.
So he's got to switch up that book, He's
got to change it up.
He's got to go 2 weeks where he takes a strike.
Just don't, yeah.
And then, it's like,
at least
everybody has
back
to do
at
that.
them, right? It's like they've made the adjustment to him, and now it's time for him to readjust.
Yeah.
And he just hasn't made that follow-up adjustment.
Yep. Because they'll just throw him junk right off the bat, and he'll be down 0-1.
He'll get himself out.
It's terrible. Oh, man. But Turner, another couple hits today, including the bomb, so hopefully he's going now. Yeah, Seager, it's like before Turner got going, I was thinking, let's drop Seager into that 3-hole, But it's like this team that is so lacking in not even a true leadoff hitter, it's like, who are we going to put in the 2-hole then? It's like if Kendrick gets going and you're willing to play Utley and Kendrick at the same time, then maybe he can go in there. And then, you can put Turner maybe at 4 to protect Seager, but you can put Agons or you can put Turner at the 2, and have Utley still lead off. I mean, shake it up.
Yeah. And really, if Agons can get it going after this rest, and that would be huge for the team because he's really having a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, this is a career 290. 295 hitter and he's hitting 260. And it's not like it'd be one thing if he was hitting 260 but he had 15 bombs.
Yeah.
What's he got, 6 bombs?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
He's got a rookie that has double his bombs, double and a half his bombs. It's like, come on, Agons.
Yep.
Straighten up and fly right. But hopefully this two days off is exactly what he needs, and it's just get him raking again. Looking ahead to this coming week, this is a very odd Friday to Monday series with the Pirates.
Series, yep.
So it's like it must be some sort of holiday in Pittsburgh tomorrow, because why would they have a getaway day on a Monday? Usually when they have those Friday to Thursday sets, Friday to Monday sets, it's because Monday's a holiday.
Yep.
This is very odd. This is very odd. But so they'll have one more Pittsburgh tomorrow, and then they'll go to Milwaukee for 3, and then they host Colorado for 3. So Colorado got off to a good start. They're coming a little bit back down to earth now, but they could still be some trouble. But at Milwaukee plays decent at home. It'd be nice to get 2 out of 3 though. In Milwaukee.
Especially the way this trip has gone, they need to get 2 out of 3.
They do,
at least, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, because hopefully they can. Casimir can rise up, and he's got Casimir versus Liriano tomorrow, and Liriano has not been the pitcher he has been the last couple of years for the Pirates this year. So hopefully they can take advantage of that, and then stave off the sweep, and then hopefully take 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee, and then Colorado. At least take 2 out of 3 in that series, if not a home sweep. But,
yeah, well, this is it. This is the last road trip before the All-Star break, so you'd like to see them to at least finish the road trip strong. I mean, they're playing Milwaukee. This is a team that if this team is going to be in the playoffs, in the wild card hunt, they got to be beating Milwaukee at least 2 out of 3, regardless where they're playing the games.
Yeah, you would hope. Yeah, the thing is like, and why the Dodgers are kind of like in the predicament they are is they haven't really been playing that well at home, this season. So that's something they got to turn around as well. I think they're only like a few games over 500 at home, but you're letting your fingers do the walking.
Yeah, they're
confirm on
23-15 at home.
Oh, they're 23-15. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was worse than that. All right.
Well, they
My apologies.
Got a couple wins before they went on the road. Change it up.
They did. Way to go, Dodgers. Yeah. Right on. Oh, man. Well, what are you thinking? Anything else you want to talk about before we get lost for the week?
No, you just really want to see them be better.
Consistent.
Yeah, a little bit more consistent. It's just...
And it's not like we need 5 guys over 300 in this
just a
lineup.
couple. Maybe one? Can we get one?
1 or 2, that'd be great. But like when guys are on base in scoring position, that's when you got to get your hit,
Yeah.
It's as cool if you're a 270 hitter. Just make sure you're a 270 hitter or better with runners in scoring position,
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, what are we talking about the payroll is this year? It's 200.
It's astronomical.
And that's
number 1 in the league.
That's the thing about it, is that when you take that into account, you start to say, come on. I mean, it should be better.
Well, then, like, hopefully in a couple of years here when we get the Crawford contract off the books, and I think there's another bad contract I think we're still paying Beckett, I think. Just all those contracts that the Red Sox dumped on us a few years ago. They got to get out from under. But it's like, it's not like there's a salary cap.
No, agreed. It just, you spend so much money, you'd think they'd at least have this, like, monster lineup or something. And really, it's like you take away Kershaw, and the team's not even a 500 team.
Yeah.
And that's the disappointing fact.
Team, like, has a record similar to Milwaukee.
That's the disappointing fact. Exactly.
It is.
Take away Kershaw, and you're the Brewers.
Ugh.
Spending an extra $150 million this season.
Ugh.
So that's the part you want to see a little bit more from. You just, it is LA, it is sunny, but some of these players got to perform a little bit better.
You think because of the fun in the sun, they're having a little too much fun in the sun?
It's just too relaxed.
Yeah.
There's got to be a little bit more emotion, a little bit more, need to get it going.
Well, Dave Roberts is that kind of type of persona. He's very consistent. He's upbeat. He's optimistic. So maybe you're calling for more of a light a fire under him, guys?
It's something.
Yeah.
It's just disappointing to see that this team from past seasons is now kind of a shell of what it was and being carried by, a rookie. Without Kershaw, they're just not a good team really at this point. And you think they should be better.
Yeah.
End of story. They should be better. Kershaw is performing so well too, and you come to expect that, but my God, can some of the other players that are being paid very handsomely perform a little bit better? I'm not even asking for major, seasons. I'm just asking for some, average seasons.
But realistically, you got to think that they were going to take a little bit of a step back this year. Losing Greinke and not really having anybody close to. I mean, Kenta Maeda has been great. He had a good start Saturday again, but the bullpen kind of let it get away. But it's like, you got to think we're gonna take a step back this year, and it's good if step forwards are coming, and you look at Seager being up and Urias kind of showing some signs of he's going to be good, and those are two guys that everybody was after at the trade deadline last year. So it's good that you hold on to those. So maybe we just have to kind of, for lack of a better term, suck it for a little bit, because do you really want the team that had Greinke the past 2 years that are just, okay, we make the playoffs and then we're done? It's like
no, absolutely not. And absolutely to think a step back was probably coming with the loss of Greinke, yes, but I didn't think it would be this drastic.
Yeah,
and not even record wise, just team play in general. You look across at the stats and the way the guys are performing, it just doesn't. It feels like they lost more than just Greinke.
Yeah, and another guy who I wanted to mention too, who was probably going to be in line for that fifth starter that Tepish got this past year because he's got the rib injuries. Frankie Montas, the guy we got in that the same deal we got Trace Thompson in. He's been showing some promise, but he's got that rib issue that is still hindering him. That was from a off-season surgery or some stuff. He had a rib removed. So, but hopefully he's somebody we can hear from later in this year as a fourth or fifth starter, and we'll see. I don't know, maybe even a bullpen piece.
Could use it.
We could use it. But all right, gang, we're gonna wind it down here for Michael Rippe. I am Mike Conley. This has been another edition of Dodgers Wrap 360. Thanks for tuning in with us.
Thanks, guys.
Go Dodgers.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.